benchmark is 38%. We're ranked 5th highest when you include the salary and benefits together. So we have to explore it. There's a few slides missing on it. You guys have a next slide in your packet?
Nope.
Okay, that's fine. Oh, that's right. I took them out of here because Mr. Catalano wasn't going to be here tonight, so I didn't have all the detailed information to explain. But the point I want to make out here is that we want to continue to work with the school committee. We need them to help us understand. And we need to really explore the detailed cost of the benefits that we're offering. And we're going to get into it in the next few slides after we go to the next subject, which is overtime. We're going to talk about benefits overall, and we include the schools in that to make sure we're not just pointing out the schools. But I just want to leave you with that. If you have any guidance for us in this area, we're all for it. This is a new area. None of us here have been part of the school committee.
Gentleman in the rear.
Mike, just that, there's a couple ways to look at that last row of bullets, right? The percentage, 44, 38%. It could indicate that the salary benefits are high, but also indicate that the other side is low.
It could.
Right? So you gotta look at both sides of the equation to see, what's really driving it.
We had other slides to put in here, but because we haven't had enough time to sit with the school committee and go through them and really vet them out, we didn't put them in here, but it really highlighted the facts. We kind of broke it down to the next level. And rather than get into a controversy here in this, we didn't do our due diligence yet in vetting it through. Once Mr. Webster's on our committee, and once you can appoint him and he can get sworn in, I think we can make more progress in this area. But we just wanted to make a point tonight to let you know that it's an area that we're going to explore. So you're right, Dan, but I wish we had more of the detail to present you tonight. We'd like the opportunity to come back and present again in this area once we've had this, given the school committee a fair shot to help us understand the data.
Mrs. Bailey.
Yes, thank you. I guess going forward, I'd also like to see similar, for instance, data for all the departments. So one of your earlier slides, where you said potential area for efficiency was employee benefits as well.
We're going to talk a little bit about that.
That goes throughout the school. I understand that. So I just think that this is the beginning of the picture.
Yes, it is.
You're not propaganda.
And it's not just focused on the schools. That's correct. And we're trying to do it for all the departments. Mr. Lara's going to come up and talk about the overtime in the public safety area. And we use the fire department, as I told you earlier, as our example.
I looked at the benchmarking study, and as Mike said, we're looking at public safety, so I'm just going to use the fire department as one of the examples that of some of the findings. Based on the benchmarking study over 2001-2005, we found that North Reading spent more than the peers in aggregate fire expenditures, percent of total spending, per capita. In 2005, spent more than the peers for salaries and wages per capita, as well as sworn officers. We exceeded the peers in 2005 in overtime as a percent of personnel budget. North Reading was at 34.7% versus the peers at 11.8%. In real numbers, $598,000 versus $229,000 for that year. The number of North Reading officers was below the peers in 2005. Full-time staffing per 1,000 residents was also below the peers. In summary, in 2005 we had 7 less firefighters than the peers did. And also North Reading salaries exceeded the peers during 2005. So some conclusions from this. Fire expenditures exceed peers due to maybe 2 factors. To a lesser degree, salaries are higher than the peers, but maybe more significantly, the lower staffing levels are explaining the greater reliance on overtime. There's an opportunity to lower overall expenditures on overtime by hiring full-time staff. I'd just like to go through an example. The excess to the peers, if we look at the 2 numbers that I mentioned earlier, $598,000 versus $229,000, we have, and keeping ourselves equal with the peers, it's $369,000. If this is overtime and it's a time and a half, then at regular pay, we'd be at $246,000 for those hours. Looking at firefighter salaries, minimum and maximums, taking a numerical average, and then also adding to that an estimate for benefits of an average of about $52,500. With that, if we were to take and figure out how many additional staff we could add, it'd be 4.7 new firefighters. This still leaves us with the $229,000 of overtime. The savings would be $123,000 from just that time and a half factor. And these are in 2005 dollars. So we have an opportunity to maybe look at hiring more staff to fill that gap for all that extra overtime, and still be able to save the overtime factor as some function of savings, 123,000 in this example.
And that's based on 2005, so we tried, we're hoping we get the latest numbers on this, and then try to run through this again. And it would probably be something significantly higher than this. Leave it up to you to decide how you want.
Have you met with the fire chief on this issue?
No, not as
Not
yet.
yet. Is that in the plan?
Yeah, this week, yes it is. This week we're meeting with the police chief, and then we're hoping over the next week or so.
Questions? Board members?
I know in summer or usually the state, I believe, relax the requirements of income for the energy bill.
Right.
So we expect to have shifting of costs because of that as a
We've actually started to look at the police department, we haven't finished the analysis. That's another piece that we have put into it as well.
Are these numbers on a per capita basis? You say we have fewer firefighters.
Yeah. If you look at the numbers, the benchmark study did a comparison on multiple levels. So to your point, overall aggregate fire expenditures were exceeded, as well as percent of total expenditures, and also per capita. So we exceeded our expenditures on multiple comparative levels. Is that what you're trying to get?
I understand your point you're making there, it's just questioning the numbers of people we're talking about, is that against the per capita issues, we're half the size of the town, yet we have fewer firefighters.
Right. That's where the per capita, that's where the per capita would do that in terms of comparison.
Okay. The last subject of the evening is, can we afford the employee benefits that are in place today in the future? And Mr. Peroni and I are going to present this particular subject for you. I'm going to start it off, and then, I'm sorry, Mario's going to start it off, and then I'm going to finish it up.
My apologies. Needed some last-minute training. Mike had mentioned earlier that benefits was a key point of our analysis, and he used a very good word in his description of realistic. Are they realistic in this economy, in this time? And we looked at the benefits, and in particular sick time buyback. Just to give you some numbers that didn't make it into this, sick time buyback is a component of a benefit line item in the budget, which is over $400,000 budgeted line item. And this year it took about in excess of, we dipped into it in excess of $200,000, well over $200,000. That $400,000 budgeted item is an average over the last 10 years. So at times we're over that 400,000, and at times we're under it, as we are this year. So it is a significant, and the sick time buyback is a significant component of that benefit line item. What we did in this analysis is we looked at our contracts. We looked at 8 municipal contracts, 7 were union contracts, and of the various provisions in each contract, we looked to see if they could be either eliminated or modified to be more in line with the current world that we're living in, and see if we can benefit from significant savings. And in this case, we looked at the sick time and the buyback program in general. The contracts that we looked at were the teachers' union contract, the firefighters' contract, police union, Teamsters Local 25, and the Superior Officers contract, Public Works Union, Town Workers Union, North Reading Library staff, and non-union personnel. What I did is, in this slide, is we lifted out some of the key recommendations that we found, and each contract is independent. There are commonalities, but some of these conditions don't apply to certain contracts. But I lifted them all out so that everybody could see that there are significant recommendations that can be made based on each individual contract. First, we can reduce the number of sick days per year. In some cases, they're exuberant. In all cases, we think that they're high as a committee, but in certain contracts, we think they're especially high. Reduce the cap on accumulated hours. This goes toward buyback programs. They all have some sort of cap on accumulated hours, some more significant, some more in line with our peers, and which raises some of the general questions of maybe there should be an oversight type of process or committee that tries to bring all these contracts in terms of these benefits more in line with each other, so not one union or group can point to another as getting beneficial treatment. Reduce the payback rate for hours accumulated and hours of excess of cap. That goes to the retirement and on the cap rate at retirement. Reduce the percentage paid for accumulated days on retirement and death. Set the rate of pay for each day based on when the day was accrued. So, for example, as folks progress in the steps on their contract based on whatever contract they're in, whatever type of employee they are. Right now, they're going to reap the benefit on the day they retire based on the step they're in. This bullet is saying they should accumulate that time based on when they accrued it. So if they were on step 10 when they accrued that day, and they retire at step 12, they would, whatever time they accrued at step 10 would be what they would be paid at. Establish a sick day bank for benefit of coworkers. Some of the contracts have them, some of them don't, and the town should consider offering short and long-term disability insurance if sick time benefits must be reduced. And the bullet at the bottom is what I just noted, that each contract has its own provisions, and some of them can reap greater rewards of these bullets than others. What we did here, and I don't know if you want to jump in, but what we did on these, and I don't know if we're going to go through all of it.
I have a question.
Oh, nice.
We have a question.
If I could, on the second from the bottom, on the last slide, you have established a sick bank for the benefit of coworkers. You said some of our town contracts now have them and some do not?
Yes. I think the teachers union has a sick bank.
Teachers.
The teachers have it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Because I noticed there's none on the municipal side.
No,
So,
no,
okay.
but they're one of the.
So one has it,
and that's
okay.
why, yeah, that's
Yep.
why I said some of these bullet points would be in some contracts, not in others, and some to a lesser degree. For example, they all have some sort of cap. Some of them are more in
Yep.
line with our peers, some of them are not, and some of the rates are more competitive, but the accrual, the days capped are not in line with our peers. We also provided for everybody's in home reading and enjoyment the actual provisions of the contracts. For example, I'll go to the slide 46, which is the policemen's union. See if I can get there. What we did here is